This segment of the 2017 Texas A&M Signing Day show is brought to you by Memorial Hermann, official sports medicine partner of Texas A&M Athletics.
A busy morning in the Bright Complex. Kevin Sumlin and his staff awaiting the newest Aggies and their faxes. They are arriving in a hurry, and we're thankful that one of the coaches has stepped out of Bright into our studio, and as defensive coordinator, John Chavis. He'll roll into his third year in 2017. Coach, big day. Thanks so much for taking the time.
No doubt. Exciting day, big day, and obviously one we've been looking forward to. I
want to immediately ask you about one of the early enrollees that is in this class, because I look at numbers initially. You guys look at more than that, obviously, but Anthony Hines, if you can register 245 tackles in a season, I don't care at what level it's at, this is an incredible football player.
Oh, there's no question, and I mean the numbers speak for themselves. It's highly unusual. You get guys that reach 100 tackles, and that's kind of a mark to in terms of a standard. But when you start talking 200 tackles, it's almost unreal. And it is in terms of the competition and the level of play that he's playing in.
Speaking of film, Coach, when you have an opposing team turn on your film each week, what kind of message do you want them to see sent from your defense?
Well, we want to establish an identity, and certainly, we want to be tough, we want to be physical, we want to be well coached, but from a scheme standpoint, we want to be multiple, and we take a lot of pride in being a pressure defense. We want to create problems. We don't want to sit back and let offenses create problems for us. We want to create problems for them.
Absolutely. And speaking of losing a couple guys up front, maybe some new faces coming into that starting lineup this year. Aggie fans maybe don't know a name out there that we're not as familiar with that you're excited to see come through the spring and compete for a job.
Well, that's where we are. We're getting ready, and we're in a phase now where they're doing a great job in the weight room, and that's very important. Those names are going to pop up during spring and after spring. I think it's a little early to mention names. We're going to have competition going on. We got a lot of young players that will make their position known in spring practice, and that's what we're looking for, is getting them through the cycle that they're in the weight room right now, and then getting into spring practice and then determining where we are as a defensive football team.
In the coaching world, improvement is always at the forefront of your mind. You're looking to get better each and every day. With that said, what do you maybe label as the next step for the Texas A&M defense?
Well, we've got to really become consistent. We can talk about maybe why we were not as consistent as we needed to be, but we're not going to do that. We're going to become more consistent, and that's what you got to do. You got to come to work every day. You got to be consistent. You got to bring your hard hat. It's in the SEC. Obviously, the only league that's tougher than this is known as the NFL. And the competition's great, and we want to be a part of that competition. So we got to keep pushing the envelope. That's what recruiting's all about. Sometimes you improve yourself through recruiting. Sometimes it's in the weight room, and then it's coaching and developing. And that's what we got to do, is develop these athletes once we get them here.
Speaking of the NFL, now losing Myles Garrett, a big-time player that any defensive coordinator would dream to have. Aggie fans out there wanting to know, how are we going to replace Myles Garrett and the impact he had on this defense?
Well, I don't think you replace a player like Myles Garrett. Obviously, we got some guys that are going to step up, but really it's going to be an effort of a lot of people. And, we may change some things from a scheme standpoint that we're looking at, in terms of, what we do pressure-wise. But we lost a great player, but as a unit, we will replace him as a unit, not as one.
Thinking about this signing class here today, we've seen some of them come in. Miles Jones, Derek Tucker in the secondary. Mentioned the linebacker, Anthony Hines. You also have got Santino Marchiol, who's an early enrollee. Jaden Peavy's there on the defensive front. Anything stand out to you at this point with today's signing class as we roll along through the morning?
Well, there's a lot of things. Obviously, we're meeting some needs. We're getting some guys that are really going to be big-time SEC football players. There's no question about that. We're getting a little more size up front in terms of what's going on there. That's important. But, when you look at the class, on the back end, I think we're getting some incredible speed. That's going to make us a lot better in the secondary.
Coach, you mentioned before we started, 38 years ago, you made the biggest commitment of your life. It's your anniversary today.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you and the wife.
Thank you very much.
That's John Chavis, our defensive coordinator here at Texas A&M. Our chat with him was brought to you by Memorial Hermann. Back with more from 12th Man Studios in just a bit.